guys, welcome back to Karly's Kreations. I am Karly, and today we're going to work on our keychains. I had a request to show you how I make the keychains I have from start to finish. So first I'm going to show you what we're going to use, and then we'll go into the details. So we're going to use obviously our silicone molds. Today I have the mermaid tail, a little tumbler mold, and a little cowboy boot mold. This one's probably one of my favorites. Glitter, which is now available on my website. It's really pretty. It's a beautiful red. So we're going to use that today. And epoxy. So this epoxy is left over from a cup I was just working on. When I make my molds, I will literally only use whatever epoxy I have left. I will fill up whatever molds I have enough for. And these are kind of like my my extras, so to say. I give these away with Tumbler orders and stuff as free thank you gifts and door prizes, things like that. People love them. They don't cost a lot to make. And like I said, I'm just using my leftover epoxy from whatever cup or project I'm working on. So depending on the mold will depend on the amount of epoxy that you will need. For example, if you see this guy right here, kind of look to the side, this mold is very shallow, so it's going to take very, very little. I don't measure, and I know that doesn't really help as far as answering questions, because I know I've had a lot of you ask how much epoxy goes into the molds. I would say maybe 1 to 1.5 millimeters for this one, if I were to guess. Now, the tumbler mold, you can see on the side, is a little bit deeper and a little bit wider. So it's a bigger mold. It's going to take a little bit more, maybe 2 to 3 mLs. The mermaid tail, you can see here, it's deep. Deep here, and it gets a little shallow here. So this one does take a little bit more. The wine tumbler one that I have as well does take a little bit more. So each one is going to be different. Depending on what molds you have. So like I said, I've never really got my epoxy measured out just to solely make keychains. I will literally make keychains and jewelry out of what I have left in my cup. That way I'm not wasting any of it. Some of the jewelry that I made here, for an example. Now this is a little wooden brooch I found on Etsy. I mixed my glitter and my epoxy when I was making keychains, and I got a popsicle stick just like this, and probably dropped 3 tiny little spoonfuls in it, and that's all that went into this. Super simple, super easy. I put it on a little chain or a little cord and make some necklace sets out of it. So that's another thing you can use your leftover epoxy for. It takes, I mean, literally next to no as far as epoxy measurement wise. So okay, I'm going to move these up just a little bit. So I have this is just plain epoxy mixed. The brand that I use is a 50-50 mix, so it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So typically, you know, like I said, I don't measure because I'm usually doing a few cups at a time, and I will make probably about 10 mLs, if I were to guess, total for what cups I'm making, and then I'll usually have just a little bit left over. So this probably right here is probably maybe 3 to 5 mLs in this cup right here. Okay, so we're going to add some of the glitter. We're going to add enough that you can't see through the epoxy. You don't want it see-through. You want kind of a solid color. Now, you can use mica powders for this as well. I've done that with keychains. You can use mica powders and glitter. You can use one or the other, or you can use both. They're really fun. I mean, we really can't mess these up. So, all right, so we're just stirring that up really well. The way that I test it, and this is the same way that I do with mica powders, is I'm going to get my popsicle stick and I'm going to hold it up. If I can see through to the popsicle stick, I know I don't have enough. If it's solid, the amount that's on the popsicle stick, then I know I have enough. So this is enough right here for me for these. So I'm going to set my glitter aside. Now, easiest thing to make. You are just going to pour that mixture into your molds. I do a little bit less than a little bit more, if that makes sense. You can always add more, but as you put it in, it's going to continue to travel, if you can see that. If you pour in a bunch at first, it'll overflow and then won't come out quite right. And you're going to get rough edges, kind of like this guy right here. So this one overflowed. See this piece right here? That needs to be cut off and kind of shaved down, and then I can use that. Okay, so we're going to set that aside right there. And then I'm going to go to my next mold, and I'm going to do the same thing. You can mix different colors. You can do, sometimes I'll show you. I have a little wine tumbler right here, and I literally had a few colors of glitter that I was working with. I poured them each in a little bit at a time in the wine tumbler, and I have like a multicolored one. All right, so there we go. So we had enough for those two. So my cup's empty. Now, could I go make more? Yeah. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, so I just had enough for those. This is the multicolored one I was telling you about. Like I said, I literally just had a bunch of random colors, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to pour it all. So I poured one, and then I poured the next, and I poured the next, and I poured the next, and I let it sit overnight, and then that's what I got. So I'm not sure what I'll do with this guy. The colors don't really match or anything, but I didn't want to waste the epoxy. As you know, it's very expensive, so I'm not about to waste it. All right, we're going to put the lid back on the glitter. Now, sometimes you'll get a little bit of bubbles up here. Usually fairly normal. I don't always get it, but sometimes I do. In that case, I'm going to grab my little heat gun here. I'm going to put it on a low setting. This one has a low and a high setting, and I'll link this down in the description below for you. I'm going to put it on a low setting, and I'm just going to very lightly and quickly go over the tops of these, and that's going to eliminate all of those bubbles. All right, and there we have it. So now I'm just going to let this sit, let it sit overnight, and in the morning we will come out and we will take our molds off, and I'll show you how to complete the keychain. Okay, so we are back, and it is the next day, and our keychains have been sitting all night completely undisturbed, and so we're going to go ahead and demold them. So because it's a silicone, you always want a silicone mold. That way it's easier to take off of the epoxy. So I'm just going to gently kind of release it around the edges, and then it's literally just going to pop out. And there you have it. Boom, keychain. So what you can do from here, you can leave it and attach the ring. And if you're not sure how to do that, you can scroll back onto my channel. I do have a video of just showing you how to attach the rings to keychains. You can use your silhouette or your Cricut, and you can add a little vinyl message or image right here, and then apply a little bit of epoxy over it. For the ones that I do that are that type of design, I just dip my finger, my gloved finger, in epoxy, and I just very gently rub a very, very thin layer. You can also do that without the vinyl, and that will add, it will kind of sparkle the front of your keychain right up. So if you notice, like, the back is a little bit more sparkly than the front, just add a very thin, literally dip your finger and just rub very thin right on the front. That'll sparkle right back up. Okay, and now for our boot, same thing, just pull gently along the edges and demold. There you have it. All right, so if you have any questions, please let me know below in the comments. Again, there is another video back on my channel about how to attach the rings to keychains. So if you're not sure how to do that, you can check out that video. And if you haven't joined my group yet, I would love to have you. We're doing some giveaways. I just gave away some glitter samples from my new glitter line, and I just posted a coupon code on there for my website. If you're wanting to try some of the glitter, you can use that for the next couple of days, and I will post that down below for you. I will also post links to the items that I used today for you to find. So if you have any questions, let me know below. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll be back for more soon. Have a great one.